Shalom, it's No Limit Eddie back with another video. Listen, today we're going to talk about how to not care about what people think about you, right? This is how you achieve optimal peace in your life. So here's what it comes down to. I had a commenter of mine, Zillion Throne. He dropped me a comment on one of my videos. I'll read the comment for you guys. But this was a comment that I thought would make sense to make a video about. Oh, I'm going to ask you guys to leave a like on today's video, subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed already, and drop me a comment, all right? Watching some of the classics, loving the build progress, King. I feel like in this walk, we battle with the pressure of having to let go of certain aspects of our personalities and our hobbies to be considered Hebrew enough. Would love to know your thoughts on this. So the main point of this comment was he said that he kind of feels a little bit pressured by, I guess, the Hebrew community to kind of be Hebrew enough, or to be religious enough, I guess you can say. He would just like to know my thoughts on this. All right, I would say the first thing that I want to talk about is pressure. Pressure is only felt in a societal aspect when you actually care about the opinions of other people. If you don't care about the opinions of other people, what you have left is not pressure, but just words, statements. And when you have just words and you have just statements, then you can logically look at those words and statements and see if they actually make sense. So if somebody is coming at you and telling you, to let go of your hobbies, let go of your passions, and you feel pressure, that means you're actually caring about what they're saying. However, if you can kind of relinquish your care about what people are saying and just look at the statements, now you can look at them logically, versus if you're having pressure, you're looking at them emotionally. And when you're looking at things emotionally, you can be led to make wrong decisions. And so the way that you can depower these words, or the way you can, the way you can strip the pressure off of these words, is just by saying, you don't control my salvation. As a man, any man who's saying anything to you does not control your salvation, right? And therefore, you shouldn't really care about what they're saying, if that makes sense. Now, I'm going to go into the scriptures of what I mean when I say that, and how it can be interpreted. But if somebody says you're not Hebrew enough, the good thing is they're not the one who controls who enters and doesn't enter the kingdom, right? The good thing about if somebody says, you're not serious enough about the faith, the good thing is they don't control your destiny. They have no control over your life. And once you kind of realize that, the power of these people's words essentially dissipates. Now, let's go ahead and read in a couple of scriptures, and then we'll go ahead and talk about that. So the first one we're going to read, I think, was Matthew's. I'm doing them in a backwards order, but let's do Matthew 7 and 20. Wherefore, by their fruits you shall know them. I talk about this all the time. Not everyone that saith unto me, Adonai, Adonai, shall enter in the kingdom of heaven, but he that does the will of my Father which is in heaven. Many will say to me on that day, Adonai, Adonai, have we not prophesied in your name, and in thy name have cast out devils, and in thy name done many wonderful works? And I will profess unto them, I never knew you. Depart from me, you that work iniquity. So that's Matthew 7 and 20, 21 or something like that. Matthew 23. And we'll start off at Matthew 23 and 5, but you can read up above that too. And also, I want to preface this. When I read scriptures, I don't think I'm a preacher or a teacher or a bishop or a minister, anything of that nature. When I read scriptures and things like that, I'm really just making videos in a place of a friend, right? This person wanted to know my thoughts on this matter, and as a friend, I'm just giving him my thoughts on this matter. So never take my interpretation of the scripture as valid or as fact. Just a preface to how I read scriptures and when I read scriptures in my videos. But all their works they do for to be seen by men. They make broad their, I don't know what that word is, and enlarge the borders of their garments, and love the utmost rooms at the feast, and chief seats in the synagogues, and greetings in the markets, and to be called Rabbi, Rabbi. Now, these are the two scriptures that I wanted to read. There's of course a lot more that could be read in them, but I don't want things to get lost. So both of these scriptures basically reference to the fact that some people will look Hebrew enough, will look faithful enough, will look like they are loyal servants of the Most High, but it's only because they do certain things to be seen by men. They're not actually in their heart of hearts doing it for the love of the Most High. They're doing it for the praise of men, right? Like you said, they want to be in the markets and people calling Rabbi, Rabbi. They want that. They want the chief seats in the synagogue. They want to be, up to where everybody can see them and say, yo, like, that's a man. He's always in the synagogue. He's always here. They want to enlarge their borders up. They want to enlarge, when they say the borders of their garments, there's a commandment in the book of, I think, Numbers. It talks about wearing fringes upon the borders of your garments. And so they want to enlarge their fringes so that people will see him from farther away. People are like, yeah, like he's serious about this. And he's saying those are the people who won't enter the kingdom of heaven, right? Because they're doing all these things to appease men. They're actually caring about the opinion of men more so than they're caring about the opinion of the Most High, right? And in Deuteronomy 6, it talks consistently about with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your might, you shall love Adonai, your Elohim, right? And so these people are not loving him with their all. They're actually loving men with their all, and that's where they kind of run into the headache, or they kind of bump their head against the wall. Is they're not doing it out of the love of the Most High. They're not committing their whole soul, their whole spirit, their whole mindset, all their strength to the serving of the Most High. And so for me, I never really had the pressure of falling into, being Hebrew enough or not being Hebrew enough, because for the most part, if somebody's coming to me talking anything, I immediately defuse the emotional aspect of it and look at just a statement. Okay, what's the statement that you're making? That I shouldn't like cars? Because of what reason? Where's the scripture that proves that I shouldn't like cars, right? Where's the scripture that proves that wanting to have enjoyment of life is a sin, right? And if it's proven that it's not breaking Torah, then why do I care, right? Because at that point, then, if it's proven that it's not breaking Torah and you're trying to make me feel like I shouldn't be doing it, what you're saying is there's going to be other men who are going to feel a type of way about you having this hobby, so you shouldn't have this hobby. So now we're getting into the enlarged borders, and now our enlarged fringes. Now we're getting into the chief seats in the synagogue. Now we're getting into doing work so that men can see, right? And then you get into a losing game. And so for me, I don't have pressures of being Hebrew enough because I don't care what another man thinks about what I do. If that makes sense. Because if you're coming to me in a place and you say, yo, like, check your scripture out, boom. And then you say, oh, and I say, oh, wow, thank you for enlightening me, cool. But if you're coming to me and most of the time you're just trying to make me feel bad about having passions and having hobbies, I guess let's use my example of cars. I like cars, right? The cars that I like are expensive, right? I want a GTR. That's my dream car. About 120 to 30,000. I want the Nismo edition. And that's an expensive car, right? And people could say, okay, if you spend 100-some thousand on a car, you're vain and you are materialistic and these different things and these different natures. But in reality, if they themselves drive a car, then you can say that they're vain, right? That they are materialistic and things of that nature. Because you don't need to have a car at all. You can just take the bus everywhere. You can just walk everywhere, right? But what it comes into is because another person, let's say, you buy a car based off what you can afford. So if a person has $100 million, okay, they can afford to spend 100,000, $1 million, $2 million on a car, no problem. If a person has 50,000, okay, they're probably going to buy a car that's 5 to 10,000 or whatever it is. And so if you look at it from the allocations of percentages of income, it's really just hating, right? Because let's say if that person who's hating on you saying you spend too much money on your car, you love your car, all this stuff, blah, blah, blah. But I spent a certain percentage of my income on a car, and they spend a certain percentage of their income on a car. The percentage that we're spending is the same, right? And so really that person would just be hating because one person has more money than the other person, right? Simultaneously, the main thing that I believe when you have hobbies and when you have passions is that the Most High comes first. And so let's say I finally get my dream car, which I've been wanting since I was like 16. Let's say I finally get my Nissan GTR, Nismo Edition, joint, brand new off the lot, right? I wouldn't buy a car brand new, regardless of how much money you have. I want to take that. I don't want to take the depreciation hit. But let's just say for that reason, I buy a brand new cash, whatever. I'm driving on that joint, going on the street. I see somebody, one of my brothers, right? Let's say a black person, something happened to him for whatever reason. He got shot, he got stabbed, most high forbid. And he bleeding all over the place. And somebody that's left him there to die. If I just got that car, 100-something thousand, the most high still comes first, right? I would easily stop that car, put my brother in the passenger seat. I know his blood gonna be everywhere. He's gonna ruin the inside of my car and drive him to the hospital, right? So me having a nice car or an expensive car doesn't change my ability to put the Most High first. It doesn't change my ability to keep and follow the commandment. It doesn't change my ability to serve the Most High with all my heart, right? With all my soul, with all my strength. And so these people who will try to make you feel a certain type of way about having a hobby or liking certain material items, most of the time are not really into the scripture, right? I think that's what it comes down to. But yeah, if you have a hobby, you know what I mean, have your hobby. I like cars. I would spend a lot of money on cars. Some people like clothes. They might spend a lot of money on clothes. Some people like jewelry. They'll spend a lot of money on jewelry. But again, people having certain items doesn't make them more or less able to serve the Most High. Simple. So that's my personal take on this whole matter. If there's happened to be anybody watching this who somehow in Egypt who got a GTR and want to let me drive that joint, hey, hit me up, man. Hit me up. Let's make it happen. And so yeah, other than that, man, I think that's going to conclude today's video. See you guys at the next one. Y'all willing. Peace.